The CRE is part of Nielsen, I guess. It's an independent group, but it is fully sponsored by Nielsen. How will Nielsen use this paper? And who wrote it, by the way?
Okay, I wouldn't say CRE is a part of Nielsen. I'd say CRE is an organization peopled by Nielsen clients, and the research is funded by Nielsen, but it's not like they're Nielsen directives to what the CRE does. I think for Nielsen, which is engaged as well as the rest of the industry in catching up with big data techniques, it's an opportunity for them to educate their management on what's happening and to move their train, if I would, forward in this area. I'd like to just acknowledge here Gerard Broussard, who the CRE commissioned to draft the primer, and my heart went out to him when we did. I think the world of him, but it was not going to be an easy task. When you draft text for a committee, it's already uphill, and this was not a well-worn path to produce a primer here. And so I just want to make sure that we acknowledge Gerard. And another piece too is this primer is going to be well out of date in a year or two. So we're looking ourselves to how we keep this current.
I would only add that, part of us thinking about how to keep the primer evergreen was, how do we put it out in public spaces like LinkedIn, or create a wiki environment around it so that we get more conversation from the general industry. We want you to read the primer. I'm asking you, please read the primer and tell us if we're on point, what we're missing, what's emerging, what's new, because we want to keep the dialogue alive. And, relative to Nielsen, frankly, I think that they are trying to expand their own thinking, try new techniques. They know they are putting different data sets together, and I think the primer helps pave the way to some extent as they go out and they formalize these products, they sell these products, that they don't have a completely young audience in terms of not understanding the way that they're approaching it. So I think it was a good investment from them from that perspective.
I wonder what your opinion is about Nielsen's current business strategy needs. Nielsen has always created and owned its own data, and now we're in more of an open source big data environment and ecosystem. How is Nielsen transitioning as you see it from a client perspective?
I think that Nielsen is doing what they absolutely need to do. Their core data sets are currency for how we trade in media, and I don't think that's going to change in any near future. However, the layers of information and insight that we get from those digital breadcrumbs we were just talking about, they come from all kinds of places. And it's not just going to come from a syndicated data set. And I think they're smart to pull those in and to try to partner with lots of different companies, different techniques, different ways of getting at it, because we won't be able to sustain the kind of research that they do currently in a syndicated way to capture all of that information. It would just be much too expensive for the industry.
If I can add one thing to that, and I'm not speaking for Nielsen, but I say as big data become more and more available, traditional Nielsen data actually become more valuable, because people would agree there's great care that goes into what Nielsen does to gather their data. And data become more valuable when you can combine it with other data. So to the degree that Nielsen continues to take the care it has traditionally has taken in gathering the data, the value of those data increases when there's more data, non-Nielsen data in many cases, that it can be combined with to answer the kinds of questions that business has.
And I don't want to short shrift that. I would love to just kind of really focus on what Richard just said, because that issue of data quality is really important. It's not enough to just know something. It's better to know that it comes from a credible source, that we can validate it, and that it has meaning, because there's a lot of data out there, for sure. But we don't want to be making business decisions based on just any data. We want to be making business decisions on data that really matter. The only way to know if it matters is if you understand how it was collected and the rigor with which it was collected.
If I can piggyback on Stacey's piggyback, in economics there's a principle called Gresham's law, that bad money drives out good money. That if bad money goes in, hundreds of years old, goes into circulation, good money disappears. I say there's something similar with data, that cheap data can drive out good data. If people take any data because it's data, then it robs the more accurate data of its value. And big data allows for all kinds of data. And the big data researchers don't always take the kind of care that the traditional audience measurement researchers take in evaluating the quality.